Hey guys, Professor Bell, Comic Book University, and Hawkman, issue number 5. What? Look at this cover. Look at the shine. And, oh, that's got a smell to it, man. Look at that. Like, if you look closely, you see it's actually raining on them. And, like, that's just a gorgeous cover. So, basically, I'm not going to talk about the comic book. I'm just going to show you the cover because it's awesome. These foil covers also glowy on the back, but back to so anyway. And this was a pretty good. I'm not going to do it like that. Let's talk about who made this book, man. The Fury and the Titan. It's called Part 1. Half-Lives. Robert Venditti is the writer. Brian Hitch is the penciler. Hitch and Andrew Curry are the inkers. Jeremiah Shipper is the colors, and Starkings and Comicraft did the letters. Hitch and Alexander Sinclair did the cover. Thank you. Matteo Scalera did the variant cover. And Hawkman was created by the, wow, I'm very grateful to, Gardner Fox. All right. So Hawkman, he's kind of dense in this one. He's a little bit dense, but I get it. He's overwhelmed. That's the way I'm going to look at it because it kind of seems that way later on in the book. He has no idea what's going on. He needs Ray to pull out some crayons and a coloring book with some paint by numbers finger paints. And he's like, okay, put on your smock. This is how it works. And it's cool. I get it. Ray is ridiculously smart. And like I said, Carter is just ridiculously tired at this point. Okay? Mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Because, I mean, how long has this guy been alive? Anyway. So they're in the Subatomica. They're in the Microverse, the DC Comics version of the Microverse. Wouldn't it be cool if Marvel and DC had a crossover and they actually used the freaking Microverse to cross over? Imagine that. Anyway, so a whole bunch of really cool things happen here. They go and they start having a conversation. They start talking about, you know, what's going on. And Ray brings up some theory. Now he talks about how time and space are often considered a river, but there are some who will consider it an ocean where everything floats on top. I'm gonna attempt to see if I can't give not only an explanation but my own take on this. Mind you, I was never a theoretical physicist. I studied some physics when I was studying electrical engineering. That's it. Okay? So anyway, basically with time being a river, everything's linear. Past, present, future. You can look behind you and see the past. You can look in front of you and see the future. Why? Because you are currently in the present. You are always in the present. It's part of the, talking philosophical now, it's part of the egocentrical predicament. Okay? No matter where you go, no matter where you look, no matter where you are always the center of your own world. This can cause an egocentrical illusion, and we should all seek to avoid things like that. In the meantime, if the theory of time and space is like an ocean, then everything is on the surface, past, present, future, and that includes space also. So not just time, but space also. Now, the interesting part of that is, what then sinks below the surface? What is then above the water? Because now you have to think three-dimensional. All right? So if Carter Hall has been on all these different planets, maybe all the planets, including the Microverse, okay? It wasn't mentioned before, but I figured since he went to the Microverse, I figured something was going to happen here. So he was definitely part of the Microverse in the past. The one thing that Carter is able to realize on his own, but with a little bit of prodding, is that this little device that he'd gotten that had taken him to the Microverse, oh, hey, check it out, man. This is actually a symbol for the atomic weight of nth metal. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. I dug that. Anyway, so Carter has to try and figure out what's going on, and it's speculated at this point that he left a small part of his conscious in all of these different times and places, spaces, so that he would have that tie there. But it would, of course, take away from his memory. So he'd start leaving clues for himself. So he's trying to find all these clues, in which case he can reacquire that subconscious, and then he's golden. So I dig that. I dig this concept. That's really cool. He left a huge amount of nth metal someplace in the Microverse, though, because according to Ray Palmer, there's like about a thimbleful, like a thimble. I don't know if you guys are that familiar. A thimble is the little thing that you put over top of your thumb or your finger. I think it's your finger when you're doing sewing, so that you don't poke yourself if when you're going through and whatnot. So a thimble is extremely small, and there's about a thimble full of nth metal in any one location at any one time for the most part. Now that kind of belies what we'd learned before, especially when one of the moons of Thanagar in the 6-part Death of Hawkman story, when they indicated, oh, a brand new mine of a different kind of nth metal has been found there. That was interesting. I liked that concept. It was all destroyed for the most part, but somehow this is all going to tie back to there. I don't know how yet, but somehow all of this is supposed to tie back there. That's what I'd heard. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but I am curious how they're going to tie this all back there. He does have to find nth metal, so maybe this is one of the reasons. That's how they're going to stop the Deathbringers, is by using all this nth metal in some way, shape, or form. Okay, so maybe he'll use it the way that Despero was using it. Right now, though, they have to go to this place, and it's the most dangerous place in the microverse, and that's where moz-Ga is. So moz-Ga, for those of you who don't know, is a living planet that disguises itself as a dead planet, but it's sentient. It's actually an ancient wizard. So if you're even a casual fan of DC Comics, you probably know about Mogo, the living planet that is now currently the base of the Green Lanterns, and should have always been the base of the Green Lanterns, for crying out loud. But he is a Green Lantern in and of himself, and yeah, well, this is an entirely different kind of planet. Plus, it's in the microverse, so it's infinitesimal, as Ray Palmer goes and puts it. Now, I have to say, there's the low point and the high point of the comic book. Okay, low point. Got to have a conversation with the letterer, because according to this conversation that happens right here, this is what Hawkman's supposed to be saying. This is what Ray Palmer's supposed to be saying. So why are they switched? Oh, that's right. Look in your comic books and see the mistake there. It's not that big of a deal, especially when we got something else instead. I'm just saying, if you are a fan of Hawkman, even if you're just a fan of Ray Palmer, okay, Adam, this probably brought up a little bit of emotion for you. Like, this is a hell of a picture. And honestly, I have to say to all the people involved in this comic book, thank you. Thank you very much. That was cool. So, I have a theory now. Because there's a whole bunch of action that happens. Go and read the comic book. I'm not giving you everything. Damn it. Go buy the freaking comic book. Support the damn comic book, dude. So, there is and Hawkman goes beast mode in here. I looked at it as like, Hawkman can't do that. But here apparently he can. Here apparently he can. Whatever. I'm good with it. I'm good with it. So, I have a theory. If Hawkman really is bouncing around all over the place, here, there, whatever, how many lives did he have on Krypton? Because Krypton is a pretty freaking ancient place, all right? How many lives did he have on Krypton? How many versions of a Kryptonian was he? Because if it was only one, or if it was only like 5 or 6, if it wasn't, a consistent, there's always been a version of Hawkman on Krypton, and on Thanagar, and in the microverse, and on Ran, and on all these other planets and all these different locations everywhere, okay? If that's the case, well, then we're kind of butt even here, But if that's not the case, there has always been a consistent and persistent presence of a Hawkman on Earth. Which would mean that Hawkman Prime is any of the Hawkmans that have existed on Earth. So maybe every time, all the time, that he has died on Earth caused his consciousness to go someplace else, live a life there, and then it could return back here. Now, since time is not that relevant, and, space is not that relevant, then more importantly, time is not that relevant, which means even though that his consciousness went off someplace else, lived a full life someplace else, all right, became the hero that he is, it would have immediately come back moments after he'd come back to life here. Okay? I mean, just in this current timeline in the DC universe, Hawkman has died and resurrected, reincarnated, I should say, multiple times. Just in this small span of him actually being Hawkman proper. Okay? Earth Hawkman. So this is, yeah, it's a little weird. Maybe it's a little bit much for some people to grasp, but my idea is there has always been a continuing successive Hawkman lineage, so to speak, on Earth. Has there been in all of the other places, okay? Because if not, that means that Hawkman Prime is actually Hawkman of Earth. And all these other ones are just random offshoots that happen every time he dies. From my guesstimation, every time he dies. That's kind of cool if that's the case. Or if not, Hitch and Venditti have different ideas, and I'm down to seeing what those ideas are. Either way, definitely enjoying this comic book. It gives you a lot to think about, and there's some cool action each time. And these are people who are in charge of this comic book who know the characters, who love the characters, who are drawing the characters, who are creating new lives for these characters. I'm definitely digging it. Like I said, man, anybody who's a Hawkman or Ray Palmer fan knows that double-page splash with those two together flying and smiling like that, that was awesome. That was effing heartwarming. I'm walking in the freaking snow in a blizzard up to my kneecaps, and just like the snow's coming down, and all of a sudden something just warms you. Not like a bourbon. No. I'm talking a genuine warmth that just warms you to the soul. That's what that was. That was pretty cool. I definitely appreciate that. Anyway, guys, can't wait till next issue. I gotta wait a whole nother month for this? What's up with that? Anyway, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.